Righty. Good evening, everybody. My name's Doni Glover, and welcome to the show. We have with us. Let's start with Brandon and Jason. We had a Black Wall Street event last Wednesday here in Baltimore, and I think it was the first time Jason and I met. It was definitely the first time Brandon and I met. Jason, what'd you think of the event? Thank you for coming out. Thank you for getting a book. Hit that unmute button, please.
Yeah, I was looking for it. The event was great, man. I appreciate you inviting me out. It was it was some great networking and connected with some great people. So it was, I was definitely appreciative of actually being in the building.
Tell them what you do, Jason.
Well, I am the founder of Black Wall Street Charm City. A lot of what we focus on is the financial education of our youth to give them a different outlook of the different careers and financial possibilities that are out there for, our community, ranging from, e-commerce, stocks, the foreign exchange market, real estate, and, other avenues. Aside from that, we do a lot of community work. We do weekly food drives where we're serving between 600 and 1,500 individuals and families a week. Aside from that, every season changes. So we look to do, community giveaways that will benefit those in the community in need during those seasons.
And how long you been doing this, Jason?
I've been doing this for 2 years now. 2 years and running.
Okay. Did you learn anything?
At the event, yes, I did. Briefly, when you were discussing the book, I didn't know that a lot of the individuals migrated from Florida to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and just ranging from the individuals that I talked, in the environment, I learned some things from them also. Actually, one of the brothers that was there, Brother Marcus from 5 Star, I actually am affiliated with his counterpart, Kendrick Tillman. So it was interesting to run into some of these people and putting pieces to the puzzle together there.
Good stuff. Now, Brandon, this was your first Black Wall Street. For those who don't know, your granddad, an astounding businessman here in the city of Baltimore, Henry Baines. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Donnie. I appreciate the invite.
You came out to the event. What did you think of the Black Wall Street event?
I thought it was a great event. It was a great experience. Gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of established Black individuals that's out here making success happen. And I think it should be, much more exalted out here in our community. It's really hard to get to the level of success that we've endowed fighting to actually educate and empower and provide opportunity within our own community. So I thought it was really great. And it brought together a lot of individuals.
Now, what do you do?
So I am the managing and broker of It's Already Sold Real Estate Brokerage. So what we do is our core goal is to represent developers in selling their product. But in the midst of that, a lot of people don't understand is residential, typically brokers sell for residential developers. So what we do is we educate and empower individuals to understand not only the real estate development process, but also understand the new construction. So when you go into a home, you need to understand the process. And a lot of people get that gap and they really don't understand the fundamentals of purchasing a house or even leveraging it. So we take a broad view and allow people to understand real estate from understanding comprehension plans to city planning so that you can make sure that when you're buying a house, you're really aligning yourself into a strategic move like you're looking at a stock market. Because real estate development really is acquired based off of land and acquisition and development projects, and that which helps you appreciate your value. So that's what we really do, is really educating the small people. Our motto is teaching a home buyer to an investor to a developer, so that everybody can get a piece of the pie. So we support that infrastructure.
And where do you do this kind of work at, Brandon?
I do it in Atlanta, Georgia, but I am in the process of actually opening up my brokerage back in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm just in the process of getting the paperwork solidified, and then I will be doing some projects up there as well, because I do also consult with developers too in regards to some projects that they like to have assistance with.
Now let me shift over to Jason. Jason, did I hear you mention real estate?
Yes, sir, you did. And I would definitely like to hook up with Brandon because we actually have a class coming up in October with our youth. And one of the segments that we touch on is real estate, and we usually we touch on wholesaling, fix and flips, and buy and hold. So you being on the development side will give them a broader perspective of the different avenues that they can actually indulge in.
So Brandon and Jason, if you put your contact information in that private chat, we can get that ball rolling as well. You know, if you want to, either one of you, both of you, actually share your contact information. Then I got a treat for Brandon, maybe you, Jason. So how can people get in touch with you, Jason?
They could get in touch with me on Instagram, Black Wall Street _ Charm City, or they can find me on Facebook, Black Wall Street Charm City, or they can call me directly, 443-204-9534.
Okay. How about you, Brandon?
So you can search me on pretty much most of the major platforms at It's Already Sold. My website is also www.itsalreadysold.com. And my number is 470-356-1046. And my email address is really easy. It's my first name, Brandon, at itsalreadysold.com. And yeah.
That's how we do it. This is networking. So Morocco, you've been to a virtual Black Wall Street Awards. So I got your award coming in the mail. I know I'm late all the way from February, but now, Brandon, the treat is Morocco is there in Atlanta.
Oh, wow. How you doing, Mr. Morocco? How you doing?
You want to get his contact information. Morocco, what you think about Black Wall Street?
Well, I think it's fantastic. You know, it's been so many different derivatives of it. You know, we've got the interest that these two young men have. We've got your book, and then we've got what's Baines' game that he sent me, Black Wall Street. So it's starting to become comprehensive, and I'm enjoying the notoriety that is bringing about.
Good
and
stuff.
The historical perspective.
Okay, well, before we get to our special guest, I wanted to ask Brandon and Jason, how has COVID, how have you dealt with COVID? Let's start with you, Jason. How have you dealt with COVID?
I've dealt with COVID with finding the need of the community. And, from what we've been experiencing, with a lot of families and individuals losing their jobs, one of the most essential things that are needed is food in the community, which actually drove us to, expanding on what we're doing in the community. In essence, it's been a gift and a curse because it's allowed us to get more in tune with the community, to meet more of the children, to meet more of the adults in the neighborhood, and to have an awareness and a perspective of what they're dealing with and the goals and the visions that a lot of these individuals have for themselves, and how we can, tune in to be able to assist them. So, it's been a gift and a curse, but at the same time, it's been a blessing to be in position to be able to assist the community at the same time.
Have you lost any family members, or any family members been infected with COVID?
God willing, no, I haven't been in a position where we've lost anyone during the period of COVID. I know a few people have got sick, but it wasn't to the extreme. It may have been, a loss of taste or a little, cold or something, but nothing to the extreme. So we've actually been blessed in that matter.
Okay, and the only reason why I asked is because we have a special guest to share a very powerful story with us. Brandon, how have you been dealing with COVID?
I've been just pushing through. It hasn't really been it hasn't affected me totally. I caught it in March of this year. And I know some friends and family members that have had it, as well as I've known somebody that actually passed that was pretty much close to my age. I sold his house to him in a development site. So it hit, but ultimately what I would say is, just try to protect yourself as best as possible, and we got to keep moving in life, unfortunately.
Well, one of the things I shared at the Black Wall Street here in Baltimore was the soldiers. I don't know how much I touched on it, but I can assure you, Jason and Brandon, that when you go back through the history, you'll find that wherever there was a Black Wall Street, you best believe there was some soldiers out there first.
Amen.
I mean, war veterans, soldiers, military, army. Morocco, you want to touch that a little bit for me? I know that's more Tiger Davis's stage, but Tiger, and that's a mutual friend of ours, former delegate Tiger Davis. He always talks about the role of the black soldier. You want to touch the role of the black soldier for me, Morocco?
Well, the black soldier, as we know, has been involved in every conflict and every war since the inception of this country, all the way back to Crispus Attucks and the American Revolution, all the way up to Korea, Vietnam, World War II, Afghanistan, Desert Storm. And also we can look at the Buffalo Soldiers out on the plains in the area of Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Buffalo Soldiers established many bases out in that part of the country and were instrumental in the putting down the rebellions and the attacks of Indians and those that were coming off of the Civil War. So, yeah, the black soldier has been instrumental in every facet of American life from back in the beginning.
And you are a soldier.
I am a Vietnam combat vet, Vietnam 1968. I arrived 10 hours before the Tet Offensive. And I was able to survive that. And I'm retired now for 20 years, but I've worked as the assistant director for the Office of Veterans Programs for the state of Georgia. And I'm on the Congressional Black Caucus Veterans Brain Trust Board in Washington, D.C., where every September I'm working with congressmen and senators during the Black Caucus and during the year in helping veterans here in Atlanta, here in the state of Georgia, and nationwide, really, with their benefits and other areas of concern for veterans and for the widows of veterans. Many of them are entitled to benefits and they don't know about it.
So being a regular on this show, we keep your promo. That's his promo down the bottom for anyone, any veteran or wife of a veteran, or I guess male spouse of a veteran. There's a 1-800 number. And so helping veterans is important to you. Why?
Why are veterans important to me? I didn't understand the question.
Yes.
First of all, because I am one, and after returning from Vietnam, a number of years after returning, I started suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder. They didn't tell us what it was and that we would eventually suffer from it. And so I ended up going through a divorce, losing my house, cars, family. I was homeless for 2.5 years, drugs, alcohol, PTSD, the whole 9 yards. So everything that I've suffered with, the majority of veterans that I worked with had gone through any one of those things or a combination of them. And so once I survived it, I really became an expert at it. And so in the field, we didn't leave anybody behind. And so that mindset is still with me. So I reach back and not just giving a hand out, but a hand up to veterans in need and that are going through some of the things that I previously went through. And if I can cut through some of the red tape, and if I can cut through some of the damage that they're headed towards, then my job is to step in and to assist and help them around those booby traps.
All right. So do you have your book nearby?
My cousin, yeah. My book is about my experience in Vietnam. And the title of my book is Coming Full Circle. The first third is about my experiences in Vietnam. When I get off the plane, I take you on missions with me. I let you meet my friends. I let you see what combat was like. And that gives you some insight as to what happened to uncle, brother, daddy, friend that returned and what's wrong with us. And then I went on with life and then came back to Atlanta. And that's when I started going through some of the trials and tribulations. And so it's actually a book of love and understanding. And it's not just a book about the war. It's really a holistic approach to life. And for those that have not been in the military, yeah.
Go ahead, finish your statement.
For many that have not been in the military, they may have experienced some of the trials and tribulations of warfare back here. And so they are dealing with certain things and don't know how to overcome them or how to deal with them. And you can apply some of the same principles from the experiences in my book.
All right. Now I want to fast forward to this gentleman to your right on the screen. Who is he and what's so special about him?
Well, this is my cousin, Ed Coleman. Ed Coleman is originally from Hempstead, New York. He now lives with his wife, Charlene, in Richmond, Virginia. Ed is a black belt in Shotokan. He is a Green Beret. He's my best friend, and we've traveled around the country doing things for the black community around the country, from business standpoints and different projects. And we've also we have so many things in common that he'll probably go into, and he's just a super guy. But I think I heard Brandon say that he had experienced friends that had experienced COVID. Well,
Brandon
is a super guy. So
he had COVID.
Ed is oh, he had COVID. Okay. And then he said he had some friends that had it. So Ed, a little over a year ago, Ed called me and he was excited because his granddaughter had just graduated from Clark Atlanta University. And she graduated in the honors program. And man, he was all excited. And so we were talking. And then he said, when we got ready to hang up, he said, "Oh, by the way, man, I got that thing." And I said, "What, the virus?" He said, "Yeah." But he sounded so good. I said, "Okay, so what do you do? You're self-quarantining at home?" He said, "Yeah." Well, the next day or so, his wife looked at him and she said, "Ed, you can't breathe." He said, "Yes, I can." She said, "No, I'm getting you to the hospital." And he refused to go. So she called his doctor at the VA, and the doctor says, "I'll meet you there. Get him there now." And once she got him to the hospital, Ed went in that hospital, and that's where his story begins. And I'll let him tell you from that point on. And it's quite an interesting, a heartfelt, and a lesson type story as to what happened to him. So this is my cousin.
Ed Coleman, so we know.
Ed,
What is your rank so we can properly address you, Ed Coleman?
he's blocked.
Oh, he's muted. He's muted. Oh, there we go. There we go. Say it again.
All right, yeah. Address me. I'm Ed. That's the way I've been for all of these years, 78 years to be exact. How are you guys doing? I'm enjoying listening to this excellent conversation, Brandon and Jason. Yes, you guys. It's a pleasure hearing what you're doing. Keep it up. Okay. And Morocco, as he said, we could tell the stories about the two of us for the next month. And it's an amazing story. We didn't even know each other until I went on a sales call. I used to be with Pitney Bowes Corporation. And as a side thing, I was involved in different businesses. I had a company, which I still have, called Coleman's Connections. And I went down to have an interview with a gentleman in Baltimore. And they were at a hotel, and we met and we talked and we got our business straight. And as I was leaving, I went through the lobby and one of the guys said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home." "Well, you can't go home." I said, "Why not?" He said, "You're going to the wedding." I said, "What wedding?" He said, "Man, your cousin or somebody is getting married." I said, "No, I don't know anybody getting married." He said, "You have to know him. You look just like him." So I gave my card and I went on home. And maybe 3 or 4 days later, I get a phone call, and it's Morocco. And we start talking back and forth on the phone. So I said, "Well, I'm coming down. We're going to be at the Black Expo in Atlanta, and I'll be staying with a friend." And I gave him the friend's name and address in the girl and guy's house, and the guy's at work, and I'm just relaxing, getting ready to go down to the expo. And there's a knock on the door, and my friend's wife opened the door, and I heard her say, "Oh, no, he didn't. God didn't make two of y'all." And I walked out, and there he was, and we looked at each other, and it was just like we had the same things. We had the same watches on, we had the same phones, and the same ponytail. Well, he didn't have his ponytail yet. His hair was long, but he didn't have a ponytail. I had a ponytail going down my back. And we just stood there looking at each other for a couple of minutes and then gave each other big hugs. And then from then on, it's like we've been closer than brothers. And I lost my brother a couple of years ago in Atlanta when you guys had that big snowstorm down there. And 495 was blocked up. And you had the terrible accident with the 3 trucks crashing, and there was one person killed. That was my younger brother. And Morocco said, "Well, now I'm really your brother." And I mean, we have some things to go on. But he's talking about the COVID. I can get into that if you'd like to hear the story. And go ahead. Okay. As he said, my granddaughter graduated, and I wasn't feeling too well even then. But being airborne, Green Beret, I could beat anything. And I just wouldn't accept it. My wife was trying to get me to go to the hospital. And I kept telling her nothing's wrong with me. But I was having hallucinations. And I hallucinated about, we had been on several trips to Africa. And I thought I was going back to Africa. And in my mind, I actually went, and I went to Senegal, and the king of the Senegalese tribes. And I was walking around talking to different farmers out there about getting credit cards. We were going to establish a credit card program in Senegal. And when we came back from the conversation, I told the king, I don't think we can do it here because your people don't have any money. They have no money. How are they going to have a credit card? They have no money. Got on the plane to come back, and I'm sitting next to somebody on the plane, and I could hardly talk. And he said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "Senegal." He said, "Oh, you have the dust from the Sahara. It blows. The wind blows it across the desert, and it comes all the way into Europe, and you probably have it in your throat." So I got home, and now I'm still thinking all of this is real. In fact, I'm saying it now. I feel like I'm experiencing it again. And I got home, and we used to live in Brooklyn, and we were back in Brooklyn, and I thought that they had built a nightclub in the community that we lived in. And I said, well, I want to go and see this new place, and asked my wife, did she want to go? And she said, no, she didn't. And I said, well, I'll call Olive, my upstairs neighbor, and ask her if she wants to go. She said, yeah, she'd go. Met her, we went over, we sat down, we had dinner. We got up to dance, and I couldn't hardly breathe. So I said, I better go home. Now, Olive is a nurse. So we got home, and I could not breathe. I asked her to call Olive back to come down. And I said, let her come down. She came down, and she said, oh, I'm going to have to open up your throat so that you can breathe, and you might want to go to the hospital. Anyhow, the hallucinations went on and on and on. And finally, my wife called the ambulance to the house. And she said, you're going to the hospital. The guys came in. I said, no, I'm not going to the hospital. He said, yes, you are. Yeah, you need to go to the hospital. I got in the ambulance. We went to the hospital, and I wouldn't get out of the ambulance. Well,
he's still not coming.
Yeah, my wife is here. She's going to interject because, again,
he never got to the hospital that time.
I was hallucinating.
He was hallucinating. So I called my sister, Lynn McKinley Grant, and her husband, both are doctors and involved in the COVID experience in D.C. And they were communicating with Ed, trying to get him to go to the hospital. He wouldn't go. So he stayed up all night long. He couldn't lay down. He couldn't sit down. He couldn't do anything. But by that morning, he was so miserable. He fell down a couple of times that he let us take it. I drove him to the hospital. And that's where the book starts off. And I'm telling him, you just need a little oxygen. Just go in there, let the doctors give you a little oxygen, and I will wait for you. But I knew they were going to keep him. And they said and I'll go get tested in the meantime. And they said he fought them like a true Vietnam vet. He got up off the table, he snatched all the tubes out, everything. And they had to call in reinforcements to get this man to stay there. But they did. And finally, when they got him up on the COVID ward, and it was a new COVID ward. He was the first one in his room. They called me and told me to notify his children and get his affairs in order. And I told them they were crazy. This man is not going to die. And they said they were arguing with me. I said, we're not even going to talk like that. To make a long story short, he survived, but it was 3 long months. They intubated him. He took the tubes out. They gave him a tracheolator. He took that out. They had to restrain him. They had him in handcuffs the whole time he was there.
He was locked up. Ed was locked up.
They had me handcuffed. I broke the head. I broke
he
loose.
Broke up. He did.
And they had to come back in and put me back in. But what they didn't understand, in my mind, I was captured.
And I told them that. I said, he thinks he's in Vietnam captured somewhere. So they understood that. And then I told the doctors, I said, listen, this man likes music. Let's play music for him. He's in a coma now. They said, but he can't hear it. I said, yes, he can. So they let me put an iPad in his room, and I was on the iPhone. And they said, well, Mrs. Coleman, you can call us anytime you want. I said, really? So then I called them so much, they asked me, when do you sleep? I said, right now, I'm not sleeping at all. I'm just making sure my husband is alive. And every time I pick up the phone, I say, is he still living? So we gave books to the doctors and nurses at the VA last Friday, and they cried. They were so touched. And they said, Mrs. Coleman, you are just as much a part of him getting well as we are, because you would not let us stop at all. And I tell people, you have to be determined. When you have somebody there, you have to be determined. You pray, and you pray expecting a miracle. And my best friend said, Charlene, you just can't pray. You got to get on your knees and pray. So I said, girl, my knees are too sore. She said, no, go to Lowe's and get some knee pads.
Yeah.
So I'll talk forever, but you get a book. He'll tell you how to get the book, okay?
Yeah. Well, she's and this is Charlene, by the way. And you see, Charlene can talk. Okay. Charlene created the children's magazine, Popcorn. And she had over 200,000 subscribers for that magazine.
30 years ago.
30 years ago, yep.
30 years ago, before the computers.
And then she started the television show. She used to work, she lived in Jamaica 10 years, her and her first husband. And he was going to doctor's school down there. Medical. And she started a restaurant down in Jamaica. And all the reggae artists used to come in, Bob Marley, everybody that you could think of from that musical era used to come into her restaurant. And they all became
Bob Marley, Charlie?
Yes.
What'd you say?
You met Bob Marley?
Oh, yeah, I knew him well. His kids, some of his kids have been in my house. They call me Auntie Charlene, and Rita has been here, and we get along. We got along well.
One of the kids was doing a new album, and they filmed the cover. Kamani, they filmed the cover right out in the front yard.
By the woods.
They took some of my drums out. Because we have drums all over the place. I'm a professional percussionist, and they took my drums out in the yard and they filmed it, and they put their picture on the cover of their album. So we're friends with all of them, the whole family, but not just Bob and Marley and his family, but all of the reggae artists.
And see, I used to do I was general manager of a radio station here. So I introduced, my background is market research. I'm a Howard University graduate, okay?
She's an AKA also.
And a link.
And a link, yeah.
So
I'm a connecting link.
Hold up, Charlene. I know you're on a takeover tip. Do y'all
moving out?
Do y'all have any advice for Brandon and for Jason? They are business people.
Well, just listening to what the two of them were saying, I'd say they're on the right track. But from what I heard, what you need is to be a little more, go out a little more, be a little more active out in the community. You're on this show, get on other shows, okay? Get on other shows, get more publications out, newspaper and whatnot, because what you're talking about is something that other Blacks need to hear, because we as a community don't have the tendency to be involved in earning money. We're involved in spending money.
Too much.
And we don't spend that money in the right places for the right things. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of disposable income. People think that our whole community is broke, but we're not. There's a huge part of our community that's financially adept. They have cash that they can use. They have money that they can put away and invest. Mm-hmm. So do that a little more. Even if you do it just like on Facebook or whatnot, just let people know more about who you are and what you're doing.
And don't be shy.
At all. All right. Now,
I'm glad y'all said that, because I got a book that I've been selling. Jason, thank you for getting a copy. I Am Black Wall Street. And in this book, we talk about how the people got to Oklahoma. And one of the countries that we talk about, because I view Black Wall Street out there in Oklahoma as a freedom colony.
Absolutely.
Just like in Jamaica, Nanny the Maroon Queen created a freedom colony.
Yes.
She's on a $500 Jamaican bill. But Ed, you say you got a book too?
Well,
does he have a book?
She has 7 books.
This is 7 books.
This is her 7th book.
See, you a show off.
Oh yeah. Well, not show off. She's just good at what she does.
Okay.
This is her very first book, and it's called The Mothers to Daughters Cookbook, and we have sold thousands of this book, and it's so special because she acknowledges the people, ancestors in her family. I don't think you can see the cup. See this? Right there. Yeah. Wait a minute. And it's got all the home style restaurant, home style black food in it, and she's got so many recipes, and it's almost like a history book, because her family goes back hundreds of years, and all of them have been historical people. Her mother was the first Black surgical nurse in the state of Virginia. Started out in the Black nursing school in Richmond, could not get into, or did not want to go into the college here to go on and get her master's degree. So she went to school in Illinois.
No, University of Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
All right, so let me jump in. It's my turn. Did you know Did you know that Richmond, Virginia had a Black Wall Street also?
Oh yeah, we're
We
pretty
were a
up,
part of it.
yeah, we're pretty up on the history part
We were a part of it. My family was a part of it.
of the Black community. But anyhow,
Think about it.
so one of the things that we did after we started selling the books
Get over yourself.
and doing book signing in the military bases. And I said to Charlene, one of my stepson, we were talking, and Charlene said to him, these guys, some of them come home with problems. And he said, all of them come home with problems. And she said, I'm going to write a book about it. So she wrote, Welcome Home Veterans. Can you see that?
Yeah. Show them the cover.
Right. Welcome Home Veterans.
Welcome home.
So Brandon and Jason, it looked like we've been taking to school. Look like we've been taking to school for real. You want to comment, Brandon, Jason?
Most definitely been taken to school.
Don't be shy. That's what I say. You get an
Oh, no, I
opportunity.
ain't shy. I would definitely like to connect with the both of you. Definitely Mr. Ed and Mr. Morocco. If y'all could put your information in the chat, I'd be appreciative of that.
Oh, without a doubt.
Actually, so we have a segment with our youth where we have a Black History segment where we cater to hidden colors, because there's so much Black history out here that's not being taught in the school, that it's very imperative that our youth have an awareness and understanding of where we come from, so that they can be forcefully pushing in the right direction when creating wealth for their families, and giving this vital information. So I would definitely like to connect with you guys, potentially come in and actually give a segment to our students, so they, that they can be more informed. And it's very enlightening to sit here and listen to you guys. As my father's actually a Vietnam veteran, and my hopes was to actually grow up one day and become a Green Beret, but that didn't necessarily work out that way. But I'm very appreciative for you guys coming on and shining some of this light.
Well, let me tell you, history-wise, both of our families and Morocco's have been involved in going forward. The race is going forward. My great-grandfather, we have his will we have the will that he got from his father, great-great-grandfather, who was one of the slaves that Sherman set free when he came through Columbia, South Carolina, and he drafted him into the military, and he went on the march from Alabama, Mobile, down to Atlanta, and as a veteran. And he's listed in the census as Vietnam, as a Civil War veteran. And when he came out of the military, he got married, and he went to live on the land that his slave owner left for he and his two brothers. The slave owner willed them 80 acres of land.
So let me just get this in there, just so Jason and Brandon know that during slavery, in case you didn't know, not saying you don't, that if you became a soldier, that was one way to get your freedom. And if you fought, you was gonna get your freedom.
And then
Brandon, hold tight, Miss Charlene. Brandon, you want to chime in? You got a thought or two?
It's just so much wealth of information.
You're the grandson of a millionaire. You're the grandson of a millionaire. Come on.
I just like history. I've always been a component of history. Even working in the supermarkets, I used to sit outside and listen to the older guys that were hacks, and hear their stories about the past back in the 50s and stuff like that. So when you're talking history, you're talking me. I like the History Channel, so I'm a big conduit of it. So I don't think I can share anything, but I do have a lot of programs I'm involved in that might help to.
Well, we'll be happy to talk to your audience. I do that. I mean, I'm a spokesman. I used to be the president of the 369th Veterans Association, Nassau District.
Harlem Hellfighters?
Yes, indeed. Harlem Hellfighters. I was the district president and then the national vice president. And they asked me, when the person that was the national president was the first Black Secret Service agent. His name was DeFawcett, and he was one of Kennedy's security people. But at any rate, they asked me to be national president, and I was too involved in other things, so I didn't get into that. But I go around. When I came to Richmond, I got involved here in the community. I volunteered at the Richmond City Jail, talking to the inmates, and I did it so well they wanted to hire me. And I said, no, I don't want a job. And the sheriff said, I want you to be on my staff of education. And I jokingly said, you can't afford me. He said, well, what do you get? I said, $100,000 a year. And he said, no, I can't give you that, but I can give you 50. So I took the 50 just to do it. And I used to bring my band people down, and we did concerts in the jail, and I taught school in there. I wound up having, and didn't know it until a couple of years after the fact, but I had over 2,400 graduates from the GED program that I taught in the jail with a marking curve higher than the city of Richmond.
Okay. So hold up, man. So this is one thing we all have in common, especially Jason. Why do you give back? Why do you give back? Why is it important to you to give back? You could be on a beach somewhere, but you chose to give back to the inmates.
It's in my blood. I didn't tell you that my great-grandfather, when he came back home from the Civil War, got married, went to sleep. His wife was out doing what wives do back then, and she came in and she heard him talking, and he was actually preaching. There's a book that you can check out if you go on YouTube or one of those and click in The Sleeping Preacher of Saluda. He preached sermons in his sleep for over 40 years. Spoke slave dialect, couldn't read or write, but when he preached, he spoke perfect King's English and did it for 40 years. Right? They tried to get him to move to Washington, D.C., as the book said, so the gentleman didn't have to travel to the Deep South. And he refused to go. And the book says that's how the Perry boys made their fortunes, tending to the gentleman's horses. So the Perry family, along with the Coleman family in South Carolina and Georgia, were very big. Very big. If you read the Green Book, there's a they list the different places they were in the Green Book. In Richmond, Virginia, there was a hotel called Coleman's, and it says in the book for Negroes. And we used to come home.
Hold up, Brandon and Jason.
And
Here's the pop quiz. Hold tight. Here's the pop quiz for Brandon and Jason. You ever heard of the Green Book?
No, I can't say.
Well,
No.
you need to go on Facebook and go into the African history Black history section they have in there, and they go all the way back. They have so much interesting history on there that I look at that.
The Green Book was put together by a mailman, right?
Yes. I believe that's
So
who,
where blacks
H.
could
Green.
go south.
because you couldn't, when Northern blacks came down to the Deep South, they couldn't stay in the hotels and things. In fact, when we used to come down the third Sunday in August, we had the Perry family reunion, and all of the relatives used to meet on Route 1 coming down. And when we got crossed into Delaware, we came across the bridge. There was no 95 then. You came down Route 1. And we used to camp. They used to camp on the side of the road. They'd put tents up, and it was woods. The guys would go to the lakes and go fishing and catch fish and shoot squirrels or rabbits, whatever. And then we'd have a campfire out there, and we'd spend the nights there. But when we got down into Virginia and Maryland, using the Green Book, we knew where to stop and stay. And we used to spend the night at the hotels there, because it took you a while back then to go from New York or Pennsylvania down to the South.
There was a movie about that.
So the Green Book was like Facebook.
Yeah, basically it was, because it told you how to travel through the Black South. And at that time, it was something. My mother and father had the two of us, my sister and I, on the train, and they got put off of the train, because they were sitting in the white section, but because my mother looked like she was white, they didn't know whether she was white or not. So, but when my father sat down with her, they oh no, he Coleman, he had to get off. So they were sending him to the back of the train, and my dad was carrying me on his shoulders, and my sister, she was a little bit older, she was walking, and it was a troop transport, and the soldiers were looking out the window, and they were looking at my mother whistling and carrying on. And one of the sergeants said, "Now you guys know better than that." He said, "Where are you folks going?" And my dad said, "Oh, they put us off. They told us we got to go to the back of the train." He said, "Well, y'all come on the train, come on and get on with us." And I think part of that is why I wanted to be a soldier, because those guys were so much fun. They treated me and my sister. I mean, they were gambling and carrying on, shooting dice, but they would watch this young man, watch this, youngster, watch this. They throw the dice out, and they were just having so much fun. After that, I always wanted to be a soldier. I used to watch the war movies and things, but listen, let me tell you about the book, okay? As you see, I like to talk myself. I'm a talker. But this young lady, no, you said no, right? This young lady, the book that she wrote about the COVID is outstanding. And we took the book, we just got the books last week, and we took them to the hospital. The hospital gathered the people that worked on me for those 3 months who saved my life, and had them all come down, and they did, and the doctors. And the doctors were just, and everybody had tears in their eyes, and oh my God, look at you. You look so good. I can't believe it. We thought you were going to
You would
die.
never think he's a COVID long-term survivor, would you, with oxygen?
Yeah, I'm on oxygen.
Shut him up, though.
I started out with 6 liters, 24 hours, and I've worked it down to 3 hours, 3 liters, 24 hours. And I'm going to get off of this. When I first went to...
All right, so Morocco, bring this all together for me. Bring this on home. Tell me what all of this means. We got the future generation, we got the elder generation, we got entrepreneurs all over the place. Put it all together, Morocco.
Well, one of the main things I look at is that Ed is a good microcosm of you've heard his stories, and that's just touching the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Ed and his stories and experiences, and Charlene too. But now, Ed almost lost his life to this virus, and he survived it. And it tells me that he still has work to do. His mission, his life mission, is still ongoing. And just as you heard when he shared some information, both he and Charlene, with Jason and Brandon. And that's the beauty of our generation. Now, I'm 75 years old, but at the same time, we've got to pour into these young men and other young people. We've got to pour into them our knowledge, our experience, and all that we can from a positive standpoint, because they're the next leaders. They're the next ones that are shaking up this world. And so that's why Ed's story is so important, for him to survive what he survived. My life story, surviving 10 months in a VA hospital, being given 2 days to live. And they were surprised, the doctors and nurses, when they saw me years later. They told me the same thing they told Ed. My God, you were supposed to be dead, but it wasn't time, because I've got so much that I have to give back and stay on mission. And so for these young men and others of their ilk, it's about gaining all the knowledge you can. Knowledge is power, and keep it in a spiritual place. I ain't talking about religion, but keep a spiritual head about you, and always keep it in the road, man. Don't deviate because it looks good over here and you might be able to get away with a little something here or there. Play by the rules and stay true to your mission. So that's one of the things that makes it so important from a generational standpoint.
Very, very good, Morocco.
And as Ed was telling, yeah, thank you.
We can't hear him.
Donnie, you
Can't hear you, Don.
Donnie, you offline.
Ed and Charlene, I want you to put your information in the private chat. We're gonna go around the horn and make sure we got everybody's information. So here's Jason, and I gotta put his phone number in there. But Jason, you want to go ahead and take the floor? Then we go to Brandon, then we go to Morocco, and then we go to Ed and Charlie. Put your private information out there, Jason.
Absolutely. You can reach me via email, blackwallstreetcharmcity@gmail.com. Our website is www.bwscc.org. If you want to reach me by phone, my number is 443-204-9534. Social media, Instagram is Black Wall Street _Charm City, and Facebook is Black Wall Street Charm City.
Did somebody write that down?
All right, so you got a pen out there, Charlene?
Yeah, I got one.
443-204.
Martin,
Say that again, please.
I see it.
Oh, it's there. Okay.
Yeah, 443-204-9534.
Okay.
Good.
And I'm gonna put up Brandon's number next.
Okay.
You know who it is, right? You got Jason.
So just say it out.
Yeah.
So my number is 470-356-1046. My email is brandon@itsalreadysold.com. Website address is www.itsalreadysold.com. And our Facebook handle is itsalreadysold.com. LinkedIn handle is itsalreadysold.com. How to keep everything streamlined. And we also do home buyer seminars, typically free on weekends via Zoom. And next year we'll be coming out with our actual online segments of a seminar where they'll kind of break it down and do it like a home buyer course. So yeah.
So Ed, what's your phone number?
804-714-7983. Email Ed Coleman 0811@gmail.com. Facebook Ed Coleman. And
That's about it, right?
Yeah.
We have so many, but those are
that's how you get in touch with me, okay? We have the
Where did y'all
website.
two? I want to know, where did y'all two meet?
we
Well,
met at the airport, JFK Airport, on the way to Benin, West Africa. Can you believe that? His company
No.
hired my TV crew to do a shoot.
I had a request from the African Travel Association to come and film their event. They do a yearly event in Africa. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I needed a camera crew. And at that time, we were working on starting a black television network. Not a show, but a network. And I was working with a guy, and I said, can I use our cameraman? He said, what are you doing? I told him. He said, no, why don't you hire Charlene's company? Charlene, I don't know if any of you ever saw Tropical Beat TV. It's a tropical beat.
It was a reggae and world beat TV show. It aired for 10 years, and it used to be on in Baltimore. You got it at WHUT, Howard University station, but it was also on BET Jazz.
BET Jazz, yeah. And
And where are you from, Charlene?
I'm from Richmond, Virginia, but I lived in Jamaica for 10 years.
So we met. When I called her up, I said, I need a camera crew for Africa. He said, if you send me confirmations on the hotels and the airline tickets, we'll go. And you don't have to pay us because we'll shoot Tropical Beat over there. I said, a done deal. So she said, where are we going to meet? I said, I'll meet you at the airport. She said, how will you know me? I said, you'll know me. I used to wear a kufi all the time. So all of the people, the entertainers, everybody, they used to call me the man with the hat. The man with the hat. Dionne Warwick, what's our late?
But in the meantime, we had a lot of friends. We had a lot of mutual friends. So I checked them out before going over to make sure we can get back.
You didn't tell me he was a celebrity. You didn't tell me you were celebrities on.
Well, when I met,
What'd you say, Donnie?
You didn't tell me you was bringing 2 celebrities on. Plus, they about to take over the show. Listen, we got to go get some. But it was great talking to you. Anybody got any final thoughts before we go? Brendan, Jason, Morocco.
well, I want you guys.
I just want to tell you a quick. I want to tell you a quick something with Ed. When Ed and Charlene went to Africa, Ed specializes in playing congas. And so when he went to Africa, the Africans were performing. And so they were beating, playing their drums and everything. So Ed kind of joined in on the back row and started playing the drums. And at first the Africans looked up and said, had expression like, look at the dumb American, he gonna try to drum with us. And so all of a sudden Ed started playing and they looked back and did a double take and he said, whoa. And so afterwards they told him, they said, you are a brother that never forgot. And so I found that interesting, man. They told him his drumming skills were so good along with them that they told him, even though you're American, you never forgot from the motherland. So that's part of who Ed Coleman is. That's my cousin.
We ain't forget the goal. We ain't forget that goal that we owed either. So we keep on messing around. We gonna go over there and send Jason our goal, our payment.
We met the king of the Zulu Nation.
Across the board, we want our money.
Well, listen, we met the king of the Zulu Nation. We had a 15-minute interview with him. And when we went in, he grabbed both our hands and he held on to him. And then he looked at his security and said, you can leave. We were with him for 2 hours. Then he invited us to his daughter's graduation that night. And I said, he said, are you coming to the graduation? And I said, I don't know. We didn't know about the graduation. His aide said, when the king asked you, you are coming. Well, we went. And he introduced us to the royalty from Swaziland. They said, well, how come you don't come to our country? We watch your show all the time. And Charlene said, we were trying to get visas. They wouldn't give us visas to Swaziland. The Swazi royalty came upstairs to the after party for the king's daughter, which we were invited to. And we went. They sent a driver for us, and we went 5 hours. Drove.
Ed, I want to know, did you get the bag of gold? That's all I want to know. Did you
get the bag of gold that we got was the Zulu names, Tembega and Sipo, and they gave all kind of honors to us. And
no, Ed, you got me twisted. I'm from North, and we want the gold.
Well,
we got the diamonds.
Listen,
diamonds from South Africa.
We bought jewelry back. Yes, we bought some gold jewelry back. But
Mr. Ed and Mr. Morocco, how can we get a hold of your books?
Oh, well, with me, all you have to do
mine
go on Facebook to
Charlene Coleman.
Charlene.Coleman.
No, Charlene Coleman on Facebook.
On Facebook.
And you'll see all a whole bunch of stuff that you do.
CHARLENE, Charlene Coleman. And you'll see the books and all of that, and you can order them right online. And if that website will be up now.
Next week.
Next week, you'll be able to get on that. Charlene Coleman on Facebook.
No, CharleneColeman.com.
On
Facebook. I'm on Facebook now.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook now.
All right, we'll get it clear for them. You'll be able to get the books on that and on
CharleneColeman.com.
The books you'll be able to get on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next week.
Okay? But call us. Give us a call, too.
Yes, sir.
All right,
you do.
And Morocco.
All right, you can get my books on. You can get mine on Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, those the major ones, you can just order it.
And what's the name of it?
And what's the name of the book again?
The name of my book is Coming Full Circle.
Good.
Coming Full Circle.
Excellent.
Morocco
Excellent
Coleman.
book. Yeah. He handed me a copy of the book.
And when I have that,
We were going into an event and he handed me the copy of the book. And my first wife had just died at that time. And he had a paragraph in there to my sister who's still dancing in heaven. And I broke out in tears. I mean, I was embarrassed, but I couldn't help it. I mean, I just filled up when he gave me that book. And right in the middle of going into this event we were going to. But that's how you get them. And me, you just get at edcoleman.com on Facebook.
Ed Coleman on Facebook, not .com.
Yeah, it's Ed Coleman on Facebook. And you have my phone number. So you could be glad to hear you guys. And I do speak, as you can see, I talk. So if you have something that you address youth, don't hesitate. Give me a call. I'll be glad to come. We're in Richmond,
Yes,
but
sir,
we come up. Are you located? Where are you located, Jason?
Baltimore.
Yeah, well, we'll be up at Alexander at Andrews Air Force Base Friday and Saturday doing a book signing. Okay, so if you want to come on post and shake hands, you're more than welcome.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Jason
Yeah,
and Brandon,
thank you,
it was great
everybody.
meeting you guys also.
Very much so.
Yeah,
Thank you, Brandon.
And look forward to
Stick
seeing
around. I mean,
look
oh, you vote.
Don, I appreciate you letting us get on here and talk as much as you did. And I'm going to start checking you out a little bit. How often do you come on?
7 days a week.
Really? At the same time?
Yeah, Morocco got all the information. We're going to let them go because we held you over. But thank you,
Okay.
everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow morning.
Appreciate
You're
you,
welcome.
brother. All of you.
We'll be back at 10 a.m. tomorrow for the Black USA News Morning Show. Jason and Brandon, I'm proud of you, man. Y'all the future.
Yes, sir.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Study.
Thank you. We trying. Following after y'all footsteps.